One of the most important things when you're dealing with a confrontational situation is guarding your space. So be mindful of your personal space. So if someone goes into your personal space, all right, and you're feeling uncomfortable, this is the stage where you have to address it, where you step away. Because if you don't step away, then this is where all the other stuff can come from, the grabs, the head locks, all that stuff, but also theft, someone can get close to your purse. So if EJ is stepping towards me, I want to be mindful of my personal space and regain that again. So again. Now, if he's still going forward, right, I'm going backwards. Now, the problem with this is if he's coming towards me with a lot of force, I'm walking backwards, I can be met with a wall, or I can trip over and get down onto the ground. So what we need to do from here is start circling. So if EJ is closing the space on me, I'm guarding my personal space. I'm going to be circling. So let's look at this again. Okay, so what I'm doing little side shuffles with my feet, okay, like this. And I'm circling so that I'm not going to be pushed backwards. I'm not going to be pushed up against a wall, anything like that, right? And so it's very important with my footwork that I'm just kind of shuffling here, not crossing my feet over to go around. If you cross your feet over, your center of base is really small, and look, you can get pushed over. So make sure when you're doing your circling to create a space. Now, another thing is my arms are up, my elbows are in, my arms are up, kind of creating that physical guard for guarding my own space. So if EJ is coming forward, right, I'm circling, but look, my arms are up, protecting everything here, being ready to protect my face and my chest and tummy, all right? So keep your arms up, guard your space, and circle instead of walking straight back. All right, the first things that you'll see is your attacker grabbing your wrists and trying to pull you, okay? He's pulling me to the car, pulling me into the room, all right? So what we want to be doing, if they're aggressively pulling us, we feel like we need to pull back like this innately, yeah? But ironically, this is actually what is not going to help deal with the wrist grab here. What we want to do is go against what we want to do and run away and actually step forward for just a moment. So stepping forward will bring ourselves closer to our arm where we have more strength, and it's easier to do rotation here. If I step forward, I'm going to circle towards the weakest link. Now the weakest link happens to be his thumb joint. There's only one knuckle here. Here there's 4. So we always go towards the weakest link and curling, turning in towards the thumb joint and twisting my hand out. So let's look at this again. He grabs me, I step in, circle and flick. So on this side, he grabs me, I step in, I circle and I flick. So if he's gonna grab my wrist, so he's gonna pull me. So yep, I step in for the moment to deal with that wrist grab. Yep, so always going towards the thumb joint. So you can grab the opposite side, towards the thumb joint, towards the weakest link. Okay, and same side. Different direction, but it's still towards the thumb joint. So if you remember to deal with wrist grabs by stepping in so that your body's closer to your arm and circling and going towards a weakest link with the thumb joint, you will be all set to deal with this kind of grabs. If you're getting attacked from behind, this can be super scary because you can't see what's going on and all your defenses are in front of you, right? So EJ here is grabbing me from behind, he's wrapping my head here. This is like a terrible situation. So first things first is I want to be protecting my neck, first thing. Hanging all my weight from my hands and then making my body heavy, okay? So he has to deal with my weight. Now from here, I want to step out, circle out a little bit, and this leg that's closest to him, I'm going to use as a block. So that now I'm going to like pivot and do a big twist with my shoulders. And the leg he wants to step back with, he can't because my leg is blocking him. And I want to bend and bring him down to the ground. So let's take a look at this again. So first thing, protect the neck, 2 hands. I want heavy hanging off him, circle out, pop my leg there to block, and then do a big twist towards the outside and bringing him to the ground. That's a pretty good way of trying to get out of a really, really bad situation where they're grabbing your neck from behind. Bear hug attacks, they all sound nice and cuddly, but if there's someone trying to grab you, wrap you with their arms and pull you in and close a space to drag you off somewhere, not so nice, right? So let's look at how to deal with this. If your attack is coming up and like grabbing you, trying to drag you somewhere, closing the space, if your arms are free, the best thing that you can do is bring your hands in front and make a structured frame. So you see here, I'm making that frame with my arms, bringing my forearm right across his face. Then I'm making myself heavy, bringing my legs out, strong, solid base, and now I can push to create that space to free myself. Now, another great way too is if they have longer arms, is bringing your hands in and making that structure with your hands, walking your feet out, making yourself heavy and turning his head. So it's very important when you're doing this, you're turning his head or the jawline. It twists his spine and makes his spine weak, makes his grips weak, okay? So if you're pushing on the head, turning it, that's a really, really good way to deal with this situation. If they have really long arms, okay, and you've still turned his head, so we're here, strong base, arms come in, making my frame, turning his head, okay, and he's still holding on, then here is where you give everything you've got, stamping on his feet, kneeing him in the balls, and then that will get the reaction where he'll free his grip and you can create the space to run away. So just remember, whenever you get caught in a bear hug type situation, your hands are free, target the neck, target the head, push him away there because it makes his grip much weaker. We're gonna look at what happens if you get pushed down to the ground. So EJ here, he's pushing me and I'm going down to the ground. Now what we wanna do is get back up right away, sitting up and then turning to run away, yeah? But right here, we're putting ourselves in a really dangerous situation. Every time I sit up, moving towards him, I could be met with a knee to the face, brutal, slapping, punching, kicking, all of this stuff, okay? And then if I'm turning to run away, look at this lovely handle here. He can very aggressively pull me back and drag me back, okay? So that's if he's holding my hair here. Yep, not good at all. So what we want to do if we're pushed back, okay, we want to get off our back as quickly as possible and move to our side. This then already creates something where we can start kicking with. If he's coming down to close a space, look, he's met with a foot in his face, yeah? Now the next step is to get up on our elbow. And then we can start butt scooting. So what we're going to be doing is shifting our hips into our elbow and then coming up onto our hand, shifting. And while we're shifting back, we're making a frame here with our hands and we've got this leg to kick with. And then from here, once we've created enough space, we can do our technical stand-up, so stamping this foot on the ground and letting this one come behind us to get up. And so now we're up on our feet, but what we've done is we've moved back to get up the whole way to avoid the situations where we get kicked and punched in the face or have our head or neck grabbed. So let's look at this at full speed. Okay, so you're making your frames, you're your leg for kicking and your butt scooting to get out of there, to get up as fast as possible while you're creating that space. We're going to look at a situation where you're already down on the ground, you're on your back in possibly a rape type situation. So the first thing to note is that most important to get out of there. So we can learn all these fancy ways to attack, but getting out of there is the most important thing. So we're in this situation, right? He's grabbing our neck, pinning us down, and this is where we want to be using his structure, his strength against him and making our angles. We want to do instinctually is try to sit up, but no, we can't deal with this strength. So what we're going to do is make angles blocking the arm or swimming underneath, just moving his arm to one side while we then get our hips to the side and start hip escaping. And from here, I can start making my own structural frames while I shift out, get up on my elbow, and I'm on my side here. Look, I've got stiff arm, a wonderful structure. So this leg we could use for the moment to kick him in the face, but we can also start moving our hips out, okay? And then get up and get away. And while I'm here and he's still down, here is my chance to kick, stomp, all that sort of stuff. So let's just look at this again. So even from here, we've got to get away. So he's pinning us down, we can't go forward into him. Let's keep this structure, okay? Blocking, coming underneath, just to the side so we start getting our hips out. And look, I'm creating this structural frame, blocking myself, getting up on my elbow, hips out, butt scooting, kicking, getting up, technical stand up, my opportunity to kick again, whatever I need to do to slow him down so that I can run away to safety. We're going to look at an attack from like a ground situation, a possible rape situation, but it's very important to note that we only really want to be attacking if we can't get away. So getting away as fast as possible is absolutely our priority. So we've looked at from this situation, right, where we're scooting our hips out, getting on our side. Now, what if we're met with a bed head, a wall, a sofa, something's blocking us, stopping us from creating that space to get away, yeah? So that is when we can think about attacking as a second option. Now, a great attack to do is if, okay, we've got to pop our opponent's hands on the ground, so we swim underneath, bring our knees to our chest, right here, and then hold their posture down while we grab their t-shirt and feed it all the way to the top. So I've got all that chunk. So this hand's gonna go across to the other side, and I'm gonna feed my fingers in first, palm facing up for this choke. Now this hand's gonna go to the other side, thumb in first, and then I can loop my arm over the top, pulling him down, right? Drop my elbow in, and now I'm gonna join both my elbows together, bring my knees to my chest, and turn my wrists and give everything I've got to finish this choke. So let's look at this again. We want his hands to be free, so I'm gonna swim in, bring my knees to my chest, have him plant his hand for that moment so I can control his posture, and then reach over and grab his t-shirt. Now from here, I've got all this chunk of fabric. This hand's gonna go across to the other side, feed it in, palm facing up, and then this hand thumb in first. So I'm gonna loop my elbow to the other side, drop my elbow down and pinch my elbows together, turn my palms up, bring my knees to my chest, and finish the choke from there. So hold the choke until, they go to sleep, but just be mindful they'll probably only be sleeping for say 2 to 3 seconds, maybe up to 10 seconds. So you don't have a lot of time. It's not like the movies where they're, passed out unconscious for hours on end, right? So use that time while they're unconscious for those brief moment to just escape and get out of there to safety.